Yellow again, guys. It's Ego Chair here, back another video on the channel. This is a new video I'm posting. Yeah, I'm doing, the upload schedule is improving a bit, so yeah, I hope you enjoy this. This is What If Naruto was banished from the Leaf Village. This is like a remake or a redo of my old one, which I made. I'm not sure how many views I got. I don't remember anymore. So I hope you enjoyed this new What If or this old What If, which is refurbished. So let's get into this video. So we're gonna start off this video with a young Naruto who is technically 5 years old. Naruto has been hated by the villagers to an extent that it's almost unbearable. Each turn he takes, there's some glares he gets, there's some whispers he hears, people calling him a demon, a monster, the person, who killed the fourth Hokage, pretty much. So, Naruto, has this, this unbridled hatred within him, he doesn't show it, he hides it under a mask of foolishness, so that people do not get suspicious of him. Naruto is actually a genius, so let's continue on. Naruto, hides this unbridled rage, under a mask, a mask of a goofy and always smiling person. No matter how much the villagers despise and hate him, it doesn't affect him. So the beatings became less and less because of, Naruto's attitude, because they thought, they had broken the boy, pretty much, and made him dumb and stupid, so, no one paid attention to him. Naruto would start doing pranks, try and get their attention, which, he would get their attention, but, it wouldn't, work that well for him. So, one day, Naruto, is walking in the training grounds, just, walking in general. He then sees, two Jonins sparring, which, are Kakashi and Raito guy. So, Kakashi and Raito guy are sparring, guy, is doing his classic guy thing, pretty much, looking, buff and all that stuff, as they're fighting with Kakashi. Naruto then gets inspired from this, if Naruto said, if I could be strong as these people, what, I could actually be able to protect myself, pretty much. I don't care about the, the acknowledgement of the Leaf Village, pretty much. I hate them to to a very bad extent, if I know why they call me a demon, maybe, I'll then understand. So, Naruto then he sneaks into the library and starts reading, pretty much, reading all these books on chakra control, genjutsu, ninjutsu, bojutsu, finjutsu as well, When, Naruto was reading finjutsu, surprisingly, it was the easiest thing for him, seals. He started reading them, he started doing them as well. Naruto, the next day then bought himself some ink and seal paper pretty much, and then he started, practicing seals pretty much, and he found that he had a nick for seals, they said, seals, this might actually be interesting. So Naruto, in one of the history books he was reading, he read about the Uzumaki clan pretty much. It was the last books, because I'm pretty sure, Konoha erased all evidence of, the Uzumakis ever being, in friends with them pretty much, so I think they erased all the knowledge of that. So, Naruto then read, all this stuff, about the Uzumaki clan, the Uzumaki were in Whirlpool country. And, surprisingly, he also finds a map to Whirlpool country, pretty much, which is in that book. So, this is one of those books, which is ancient. No one, had a nick for reading it. So, it's an old book, which had the map to Whirlpool, which Naruto, takes into consideration, reads everything, all the secrets in there, in that book, So Naruto then finds a seal which is on the book, on the card cover of the book, at the back. He finds a seal that's on it. Naruto then applies some chakra, into that seal, pretty much, and the seal then glows, which, Naruto then gets, knocked out a bit. When he wakes up, he has tons of knowledge, pretty much, So that book, was the last hope of the Uzumakis, pretty much. It was a book, which made to, put in Konoha library that, only a true Uzumaki will be able, to see the seal and, get the knowledge within it. So Naruto is then bestowed upon, knowledge of tons of seals, all the weapons the Uzumakis have ever made, he's given all that information pretty much, Naruto, continues reading on pretty much. So Naruto is about 6 years old right now. He's a seal master, pretty much. Not gonna lie, he's a seal master. Because he's been practicing seals, non-stop. He has nothing better to do, he stays inside, doing his seals. When sitting paper is finished, he just goes on and buys some more. So, we now see a 6-year-old Naruto pretty much, he knows that, he's like a seal master now. Now, only what he needs, is to get into shape, pretty much. He knows that, even if he's a seal master, there are some opponents who are gonna be faster than him, pretty much. So, he needs to be stronger and much more. So Naruto then applies, some gravity seals to his body, some chakra restricting seals, pretty much. Things, which will like lock up his chakra. So, Naruto also, when he was studying, some seals, he then found out, about the Shinki Fuin. The Shinki Fuin, was like the dead demon consuming seal. It was meant, to seal a tailed beast. So Naruto then put two and two together and pretty much found out that, he's the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. He didn't wanna, confront the old man, about not telling him, but he just kept it to himself. So, continuing on with the story, Naruto, after putting the restricting seals on his body, he pretty much starts to train. So this is Naruto's training regimen, 20 laps around Konoha, 20 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 20 squats, 20 of everything, pretty much, which gets the body in shape. Then, he also does, the leaf on the forehead, or for chakra control. Naruto is here to test his chakra affinity, but, he suspects, that he might have, 3 or 4 affinities since, he's an Uzumaki. Because, like from his father, he's not sure what to get from his mother as well, so he's not quite sure, but he thinks that he has 4 affinities. So, continuing on with the story, we now see, a young Naruto who is 7 years old. It's pretty much almost time for him to enter the academy, and he does go and join the academy, where he learns about like the history of Shinobi, Madara Uchiha, the Uchiha clan in general, which Naruto likes. Pretty much like the Uchiha clan, those eyes they use to copy jutsu, it makes life easier. Naruto thinks to himself, I wish I could obtain those eyes, pretty much. So we now see a 7-year-old Naruto pretty much heading over to the Uchiha compound. He had, planted some, listening suits in the Okage office, and he had learned about the coup, which, like, the Uchihas were planning. So pretty much Naruto was like, maybe I can actually go and get myself, some Sharingan. Yeah, I know, like, it's not like Naruto to do that, but, Naruto is wise in this, he's smart. So, Naruto then head over, to the Uchihas and see, Itachi and Obito, slaughtering the Uchihas. So Naruto then thinks, who might be the strongest here? He then thinks, haha, Fugaku Uchiha. So, he then goes to, like, the body of Fugaku. Sasuke is not yet there. He goes to the body of Fugaku, then he delicately, takes out the eyes and puts them in a jar. He also takes Mikoto's eyes as well, and, some of the, like, the strongest clan members' eyes, he takes them. So, Naruto is not gonna directly implant these eyes into himself, no. This is where, some of, like, that, big brain Naruto comes in. So, Naruto has also, been studying, some shinobi science as well. He knows, like, how to, like, plant cells, craft cells, pretty much. He's learning, pretty much. Naruto is a genius, like I said. He's a fucking genius. So, Naruto learned, how to synthesize, Naruto then synthesizes all these eyes, into a serum, into, like, an Uchiha serum, which, he then stabs it into his eyes, pretty much. He knows, like, the Kyuubi, with the healing factor he has, he will recover much quickly. So, Naruto, after pretty much synthesizing these eyes, he then like injects them into his eyeballs pretty much. After injecting them, he only like waits a few minutes as he then pumps chakra into his eyes. His eyes, turn red, as a tomoe appears inside them, then another, then another. Naruto then pumps more chakra as the tomoe start to spin as they change into the Mangekyo Sharingan, then they move on from the Mangekyo into the Eternal Mangekyo. Then they stop there. Naruto then says, seems these eyes are much stronger than I thought. Naruto thinks to himself. Seems I'll be able to copy jutsus much faster. In Naruto's, mindscape the Kyuubi, it seems the brat has got himself some Sharingan. This could prove troublesome. I better not mess with this chakra control, otherwise he might put me under a blasted genjutsu, the Kyuubi says, thinking to itself. So, the Kyuubi right then and then stops, messing with Naruto's chakra control, because, he knows that, Naruto knows about his existence, so if he tries to fuck up shit right now, he might get put under, a strong genjutsu where he cannot break out. So, Naruto as well, has also been researching about the wood style too. I know it makes Naruto seem like, he's like an Orochimaru type of thing. But yeah, Naruto's like an Orochimaru, but he doesn't experiment, on people, he experiments on himself pretty much. So, it's like self-experimentation. So, Naruto's also been studying, some of like, the Senju clan, discovering stuff about the wood style. So Naruto then sneaks into the hospital, at age 8. He sneaks into the hospital, then he goes, like to where like what is it called? The blood bags, are stored in cells and stuff. Like the DNA for the village is stored, Then he finds, some senju cells in there. He takes those senju cells, and he injects them into himself. Because, he has theorized that the Uzumakis and the senjus are related, so, the cells would not have any negative effect on his body, pretty much. And, he's right. The cells actually bond well with them, as well as, the Ninetales chakra, which is in Naruto, enhances, like, the process of bonding, pretty much, which allows the cells to bond. So Naruto's not sure, if he has wood style yet, but he'll soon find out. So Naruto during this time, he has also like been sneaking into the Uchiha compound. He also went to the Naka shrine where he read, like the Uchiha stone tablet pretty much. He read the Uchiha stone tablet about, like the curse, of the Sharingan. And like if you go blind, you have to exchange eyes pretty much. It's not just like, he has already obtained the Eternal Mangekyo. Naruto's powers with his Sharingan. This is where it gets good. Naruto has the Susanoo, he has the Kotomatsukami, he has the Kamui, he has what's this the what's Itachi's Genjutsu? Tsukiyomi, yes, he has the Tsukiyomi as well. And time stop or like time flash. This ability, is when Naruto is able to stop time for a certain amount of time as well. He can like stop time, Let's say not as an element of an attack, he just stops time, then goes behind the enemy, cuts off his head, and time resumes. So Naruto right now can only use this ability 3 times a day, depending on how much chakra he pushes in it. It's more consuming. Naruto also has Flash, where if he marks you, with his eye, he can just instantly teleport to you. So that's an ability which I've come up with. I've also seen this ability being used by other whatever's, but yeah, I just took it as well. I took it in as well. So Naruto then continues his training. He keeps on continuing his training, and Naruto then thinks to himself, contingency plan. I know, this village, hates me, to like a very big extent. What if, they eventually banish me? Where would I go? Naruto thinks to himself, So Naruto then starts to think to himself and says, maybe, if I prepared, a place for myself, that would actually might be better. If I prepared a place in a contingency, or like if I brought back my clan, pretty much, or restarted the Uzumaki clan. So, Naruto then having this thought in mind, pretty much, and starts to dwell on this thought, and says, yeah, that might be a good idea. So, when Naruto turns 9 years old, he then makes, a wood clone, Naruto pretty much, has mastered the wood style, to a decent degree. He then makes a wood clone, which turns into him. He then applies, some chakra seals, it's pretty much, like so I can store chakra for a very long time. After this is done, Naruto then, goes into like the Konoha, Hokage library. He then goes into the scroll of sealing. When Naruto, then enters he reads like the scroll of sealing, then finds like where the Uzumaki things are. Like some of the Uzumaki weapons which are left in the village, they were stored in the scroll of sealing. He then takes those weapons as well, and he also goes to the bank and takes the Uzumaki fortune which is there. Naruto also has found out about his parents pretty much. He's found out that he's the son of Minato and Kushina, because he sneaks into the Hokage office when the old man was not around and found the documents of their marriage. So Naruto was pretty much pissed that the old Hokage did not tell him about this, but there's nothing Naruto could pretty much do at this point. So Naruto, just decided to keep quiet. So continuing on with the story, after Naruto, has taken, like the money of the Uzumakis, he then heads out of the Leaf Village at the cover of darkness, leaving his clone to act like himself. Naruto then leaves, heading, one destination, Wopu country, or the Uzumaki land. So Naruto then, it takes Naruto 4 days to reach what is it called? Well, reach the land of waves pretty much. When it reaches the land of waves, he sees like what terrible state and condition this place is in pretty much. He sees that this place is suffering, bro. People are are looking thin and pale, and this Naruto is like disturbed by this family, like that compassion in Naruto which we all love and care, it's in him. Naruto then asks, like the people, what's up, what's going on. Then he hears things about Gato and stuff. And Naruto, then hears, about a bridge builder named Tazuna, pretty much, who is helping out, he's building a bridge, trying to make the lives of these people much better. So, Naruto then asks, if they know, where Gato's hideout is, which of the people, hearing that, just point him in the right direction. Naruto then heads over, to Gado's hideout. Naruto then creates, a bunch of reinforced shadow clones. If you guys are wondering how Naruto learned the shadow clone, I just think, he would learn it eventually because, he went into, he would sneak into the Kage library. So he'd eventually learn it because since he cannot do the Bunshin, pretty much, so yeah, he would learn the shadow clone. So that then makes some enhanced shadow clones which go into Gato's hideout. They storm the place, pretty much killing all the bandits and Gato's, guards. Because we already know that Zabuza and Haku are not yet there. Pretty much, they're gonna be hiding like much later on. So Naruto after killing all the guards, he then like goes, to where Gato is. Pretty much kills Gato. Then goes into his safes. Then as he heads into his safes, he finds, like, hey, Gato be rich, man. He be rich, he has got, about like 200 million Ryu, fam. Yeah, I was like, huh, 200 million Ryu. I might use this, to actually rebuild, Whirlpool, pretty much. So, Naruto then, like takes the money, pretty much. Then he leaves, like 5 mil in the he steals like 5 mil in a scroll. Then takes, the remainder of the money, and, as well as some of the documents. He also, takes Gato Corp for himself. And some of Gato's mines and renames them, pretty much, to Whirlpool Corps, pretty much. Not Gato Corp, it's Whirlpool Corps now. So he renames them to that. He also creates some shadow clones, to go and tie up some loose ends in Gato's, companies. So, they can keep them running. So, after this whole charade has happened, Naruto then go and give Tazuna, the 5 million, tell him, to repair, Wave Village up, make it a better place. The people freeze, then ask his name. Is Naruto then say, just like put Uzumaki pretty much, and just in Uzumaki, who is going around. So, to then name, the bridge, the Great Uzumaki Bridge, is, to then heads off, pretty much. In the Leaf Village with Naruto's clone, Naruto's clone pretty much is going to the academy, socializing, with Sasuke and all those people. Sasuke pretty much now is an emo, since when he arrived home, he found out, that his mom's and some of his clan members' eyes were plucked out, pretty much. So, he didn't know. Sarutobi suspected that it was Danzo, but, Danzo also wanted those Sharingan as well, but, Naruto got them first and synthesized them, into making something good. So Danzo still got the eyes, pretty much. He still has Shisui's eye, too. So, yeah. Continuing on, Naruto pretty much has now arrived at, Whirlpool. When he arrives at Whirlpool, he sees the state the village is in, pretty much. He sees that the village is in a state of ruin, except, for very few buildings. There is very few buildings, are like, what looked to be, like the storage area for their weapons and stuff. He also senses that there is a barrier around the island, pretty much, which keeps people out. So Naruto then walks into the barrier since he has got that Uzumaki blood. As he walks in, pretty much, he then notices something. There's a genjutsu in here. Naruto is, surprised. There's a genjutsu, but what's going on? So Naruto then continues to walk as he passes, like the destroyed village, pretty much, and continues going on. Since he has got, that like sensing from the Nine Tails, pretty much, which I doubt, the Nine Tails, wouldn't give him, because, it also wants to survive. So Naruto's got, that extra sensing. He senses, some chakra signatures in this place. So, Naruto then finds, a waterfall, a big waterfall, which is like at the back of, towards like the back of the island. Naruto, walks through the waterfall pretty much, since, he has got some of that enhanced chakra. He walks through the waterfall, as he then arrives inside, he then sees, like a village, a proper village pretty much, but it's small, it's not that big. It's about the size of what can I say? Let's say, like Snow Country. Yeah, it's nothing like Snow Country. Like the same size as Snow Country. Rather than walks inside. As he's walking, he suddenly, gets surrounded, by some, shinobi, which have, the Wopus headband on their head. They pretty much like, who are you? What are you doing here? How are you able, to come into this place? Naruto then he says, oh, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, pretty much. And they're like, Uzumaki? No, it can't be. Uzumaki is afraid here, they say. Naruto then asks, if you can talk to their leader, which, they then agree. So Naruto then thinking, to like, the Uzumaki council. He sees, some elders which are there. When Naruto arrives and they, the elders then look at him and start questioning him. Then they ask him who he is. Naruto then says, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. What, village are you coming from? Which Naruto then say, I'm coming from Konoha, pretty much. They say, Konoha? the last Uzumaki was sent to Konoha was Kushina. Which then say, oh yeah, Kushina Uzumaki is my mother, pretty much. And they're like, what? Yes, not to say. Kushina Uzumaki, was the Jinjuriki of the Kyuubi before me, pretty much. Which, they're like, interesting, interesting. So you are the son of Kushina. So it means that, you're the heir of the clan. Which Naruto then say, heir of the clan, what do you mean? So they then start explaining, the history of the clan pretty much, as they explain that Naruto is like part of like the royal line of Uzumakis. And Naruto is, he's surprised by this. So they then ask Naruto, if you accept, the responsibilities of leading the clan, which they're not. They didn't ask, Naruto if he can do seals, which they're not, and says, I'm actually a seal master, pretty much. I'm a level 10 seal master. I've learned, from Mito Uzumaki. I've learned, from like the knowledge of Mito Uzumaki as well as my mom's knowledge as well. So the elders are surprised. They thought, like he doesn't know seals. So Naruto like he's got that big brain. So after this, Naruto then starts to discuss, with the elders, some plans Naruto has. Naruto then says, I have funding. I have like lots of funding, which I think we might use, to rebuild our village to bring us back, to like become much stronger. Which Naruto then ask, how they got invaded. Naruto then say, like they got sabotaged. They sent a message to Konoha, pretty much asking Konoha for help. And the Konoha Shitobi did not send any help. Pretty much they betrayed us. They wanted us, to get destroyed. Which Naruto, majorly, he gets royally pissed about that, these people, betrayed his clan, pretty much. Naruto's pissed about this. So Naruto then says, hmm, interesting. It seems, they also have to get back our revenge. Naruto then asks, how many Uzumakis are there? And they say, there are like, about 6,000 Uzumakis which are currently there. Some of them are around the elemental nations, doing small missions, to keep us going. So Naruto then say, it seems, I'm going to need some help for this. So Ronaldo then begins to plan out how he's going to rebuild the Whirlpool village. So if you guys are wondering, I'm going with this, yeah, keep your imagination. That's where I'm gonna go with it. So pretty much, coaching on with the what if Naruto, starts, to provide funding for the village. Pretty much, as the people of the village, now recognize Naruto, as the heir to the clan and the leader as well. So Naruto then asks them, if they clear up, all the rubbles and everything, pretty much, and strengthen the barrier. Which some of the elders as well as Naruto help strengthen the barrier pretty much as Naruto pumps some demonic Ninetales chakra into it, making sure that the barrier does not let anyone who's not an Uzumaki inside, or any authorized personnel into the barrier. So after strengthening the barrier, they then start to clear out the rubble of the destroyed parts of the village as well. After clearing the rubbles, Naruto would start helping out, planning where this is where he's gonna put the academy, the hospital, all these types of other buildings. The Hokage building will pretty much be in the center of the village, pretty much. So the village is like circular. There's also gonna be some long towers, pretty much into the air. So this is Naruto's plans for the village. So Naruto would then create an enhanced clone with this, wood style. He easily used the funding to the clone. He also goes in and speaks with Tazuna and asks Tazuna, about his construction expertise so that he can help Naruto. So pretty much, like the mission, for the wave is not gonna happen. It's not gonna be in favor of Konoha, pretty much. It's gonna be in favor of Hope, since Naruto is the one who already rescued, pretty much the wave village. So Naruto is still a hero. So back at Konoha, it's almost like time for the graduation. It's been 12 years now. So, yeah, not 12 years. It's been years. It's like time for the graduation. So pretty much the enhanced clone which Naruto left there is now heading to the academy to take the test. So when you arrive at the academy, Iruka and Mizuki come inside. Pretty much Naruto knows that Mizuki hates him already. So when the papers are given out, Naruto notices a genjutsu on his paper, which he secretly mutters Kai in his head as he dispels the genjutsu. After dispelling the genjutsu, Naruto then begins to write his answers. Pretty much Naruto is not copying anyone, which that was what Mizuki was hoping for, so that he could spill the beans about the brat cheating. But he's surprised to see that Naruto is not even cheating. So after like the time is up for the test, Iruka collects the papers as he begins to mark them, pretty much as he then records the marks. It's then now weapon throwing, pretty much. So then I go to weapon throwing. Sasuke Uchiha throws the weapons, in his smug face. He throws all the shurikens and kunais at once, which results in him getting 9 out of 10 points. 9 out of 10 points. Some of the clanners do the same thing. Pretty much when it's Naruto's turn, Naruto then throws, the kunais, which he also gets an out of 10. Same with Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke already grades his teeth, saying, that dope, he must have gotten lucky. So they'll then move on to taijutsu spars, which will be Naruto versus Sasuke. When Naruto and Sasuke fight, pretty much it's in favor of Naruto, not in favor of Sasuke, since Sasuke only knows like the smaller the incomplete version of the interceptor fist from the Uchiha clan, as as well as some minor jutsu, like the fire style, fire great fireball jutsu, and the fire phoenix jutsu. Pretty much, he doesn't know any lightning jutsus, cause yeah, he wouldn't. Cause I think it was Kakashi, taught him the basis of all lightning jutsu. It was Kakashi who taught him that. Sasuke hasn't activated his Sharingan yet, which Naruto finds pitiful. Pretty much like, which here doesn't have his Sharingan. Weak, Naruto says to himself. So continuing on the story, they then move on to like what's this the jutsu portion, where they're supposed to do like the transformation. Sasuke goes first, as he does the transformation and turns into Iruka. He also does the Shinswin, swapping himself with like with the chair. He then also does like the hinge, as well as like the Bushin jutsu. All Naruto's classmates follow doing the exact same thing, as some of them pass, some of them fail. When Naruto's turn is called, Mizuki is smirking because that Naruto cannot do a Bunshin. So Naruto then does like all the other jutsu I've stated. When it comes to the Bushin, Naruto then asks Iruka if he can do a different type of Bunshin, which Iruka then asks Naruto why. Naruto then says he has too much chakra, which overloads the jutsu pretty much. And then Iruka then be like, oh, so that's why. So Naruto then do like the Kage Bunshin or Shadow Clone, which Iruka's like, not how you know the Shadow Clone, and say, I saw it from another shinobi pretty much. He has white hair and like something covering like a leaf head covering his eye. So pretty much that guy is Kakashi. Naruto had seen Kakashi doing like the Shadow Clone during one of his and guys challenge, so Naruto then copied it from there. So after this, Mizuki is pretty much pissed that the demon bat did not fail. So he then thinks of another plan to trick him, which he sees there is none. Pretty much the demon bat will not fall for this. So after all of this, Mizuki then still goes ahead with his own plan, stealing the scroll directly, and not consulting the demon bat to help him. Because if he had consulted the demon bat, shit would have proved to be easier for him. So he would have done it much easier for himself. So continuing on with the story, Naruto then given his Hittite, which he then puts it he removes like the metal part with the leaf symbol and puts it on his belt pretty much. Since Naruto is like guy's thing pretty much, where like the Hittite is on his waist, so it's like the same thing Naruto has. So Naruto's shinobi uniform is different pretty much. He has a black black shinobi pants, black shinobi boots, what is it which what's this a black muscle shirt inside, a jacket on the top, a kunai and shuriken holsters pretty much, and some seals in his gloves. So that's like pretty much Naruto's shinobi attire, if that's what you guys are wondering. Naruto too also has the sword which you see on screen. That sword with like the black hilt which had red diamonds pretty much. They're not actual diamonds, but they're just like diamond implementations. Don't get that wrong. Diamond implementations. So after Naruto has passed, pretty much then we have to wait for like the team assignments, which is going to be next week. So Iruka then tells them to take this time off, enjoy the time before they become actual shinobi, which everyone then nods as they then head out. So Naruto then heads to Ichiraku to celebrate his victory, where he eats his ramen like usual with Ayame and Teuchi. They give him some ramen. After Naruto is given the ramen, he then pays for it, with the money he has. So I think he's got the bag, guys. He's got money. So after Naruto is done with his ramen, he then heads over, heading back home. When he's heading back home, he then hears something in the forest. He then goes to investigate. He then sees, Mizuki and Iruka fighting, and he then sees, Mizuki stab Iruka, with the shuriken in his back. Iruka then falls down. Naruto then say, Iruka sensei. He rushes in and goes in front of, Iruka to protect him. Mizuki then glances over at Naruto and say, the demon bat. Do you know why the villagers hate you pretty much? Naruto then say, what are you talking about? So Mizuki would then go along, to explain, that Naruto has the Naruto suit within him, which Naruto already knows, but he would act surprised and start crying. Pretty much, Iruka would tell Naruto, to take the straw and run. As Mizuki, Naruto then say, I've had enough of this, and then creates, a bunch of shadow clones, and that's the exact same thing he did in Ken, beating Mizuki up, but he does not kill him. He does not kill him. I repeat, he does not kill Mizuki. He pretty much, beats him up to a certain extent, knocking him out. Anbus, then appears. They take, Iruka to hospital. Naruto then gets taken to the Okage office, where the Okage, thanks Naruto and, tells him that this was an airstrike mission, pretty much. That is not to be mentioned to anyone, which Naruto then nods. The Okage, then says to Naruto, how it was if he saw that he didn't tell Naruto that it was the QB. And, Naruto then asked the Okage, if he knew who his parents are. As the Okage, who'd lied through his teeth, Naruto already knows who his parents are. But, he wanted to see if the old man, had some redemption in him. Is, the Okage then lie about Naruto's parents, saying that, he didn't know Naruto's parents. They were just, only who, like, heroes, pretty much, who stopped, who helped, in the stopping of the QB. Which Naruto then nods his head, as he then says, goodbye, old man. I'm going to enjoy some time as I wait, to get some team assignments, pretty much. So then he heads back, to his apartment, where, he goes and sleeps. So guys, I'm gonna leave off this what if video. This is part 1 to what if Naruto was banished from the Leaf Village. I know it's not the ideal what if pretty much, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel. For the next part, it's 15 likes. Peace out, guys.